Hey everyone, it's me, Jess. I'm here today doing a video that is a little bit more personal than usual. Most of my videos, or all of my videos until now, have been about essential oils that I am an educator and distributor with. But today is going to be a little different. I felt in my heart that I needed to share my journey with depression and anxiety. So I'll take you back just 2 years because I'm trying to keep this video short. I could probably talk about it all day. But, and by the way, there's like two screens in the back because my husband's a gamer, so that's why it looks like we run a security business here. Anyways, I'll take you back like 2 years ago. I hit a all-time low in my depression and probably anxiety as well. I was arguing with my husband, and I just got to the point where I was just very irrational, and I just started thinking, I just don't want to live this way anymore. And I locked myself in my closet, and I just cried and cried and cried. What came out of that is I just held on tight for those few minutes. I held on really tight, got through it, got past it. The other thing that happened, the good thing that happened, is my husband then realized how much of an issue this was. It wasn't just a shake it off, throw dirt on it, it'll be fine kind of thing. That it was something more than that. And he just wanted me to be around. He wanted me to be okay. So him being more understanding and learning more about it himself, he was able to then be able to support me and help me in my own journey. So, and that's when I finally came to where I just waved my white flag. The whole time I'm trying to tough it out. I'm trying to do it myself. I'm trying to read books. I'm trying to do this and that. At that moment, I realized this is bigger than me. It kind of reminds me, even though it's different, so I'm not trying to be disrespectful to anybody else, but you know, when you're trying to change your lifestyle, or you are trying to get clean and sober and things like that, and people think, you know, well, I can just do it myself. And hey, if you can do it yourself, that's great, but most people need help, and that's what I needed. So I waved that white flag of surrender. I went to my doctor, and that's where medication, meditation, and therapy came in. I first felt that I needed medication just because, hey, I need to go to therapy. I need to talk this out. I need to figure out where this came from, and how to deal with it. But first, you know, that's not going to happen overnight. I'm not going to go to an appointment and then bam, be fine the next day. So I got on some medication. After about 2 weeks, that's when kind of everything started lifting, and that's when I realized how depressed I have been most of my life. And that's when I realized how anxious I was and how much anxiety that I had all my life. I mean, it was like getting up from a good nap, or going to the spa and having like a full body massage, and then you just you leave the spa and you just feel fresh and new, or you wake up from that nap fresh and new and ready for the day. That's kind of how I felt after a couple weeks of medication. Like, oh my gosh, that's when I felt how anxious I really was. Like all the time I'm going, my brain's going, 24 hours a day, all the time. And so it's been great for me. I've had to switch medications, I've had to change doses, do all that stuff. And for anybody else out there that ends up having to do that for themselves, I'm not saying this is, hey, what happened to me, that's what you should do, and all that stuff. I'm just sharing my journey. But anybody that does feel that they need medication or is going through that right now, I just say hold on tight, work with your doctor, find a doctor that you can link arms with, work with someone that you feel like you can trust, and is not there to shame you or to try to like, oh, I know better than you kind of thing, where you can really be a team with your doctor and you will find the right medication. And over time, it will probably need to change because our bodies change all the time. We are ever changing. Um, Therapy was the second thing, and my therapist taught me how to do mindfulness, which I like to call like speed meditation. You know what I mean? Like speed dating, speed meditation. Um, I've been really bad at meditating over the years. Like I can't quiet my brain. It's really hard. So my therapist taught me how to do a guided mindfulness, and there are plenty of apps on your phone that you can get at the little app store, free or have a low cost to it, that will help you through that guided meditation until you get used to it and you're able to do it on your own. And it really just helps to reboot. It's like restarting your computer. You just reboot it. And it's really, really good because it's guided. It helps to keep your mind focused on something else than all the craziness going on in your head. And yes, my therapist has been amazing. I was scared to go to therapy because I've had, like a really good therapist when I was a kid. But I've also had a therapist before, during my teenage years, where I was like, what in the world? This is not a good fit for me. And I've taken one of my kids to a therapist before and been like, what in the world? We're leaving, you know? So again, you have to find the right fit for you. And so I've learned so much. I've learned so much about how I need to take time and how to analyze things. And sometimes I always tell people, my therapist doesn't say anything magical. She doesn't sprinkle any magic dust over me. It's not like that. It's just, she is trained in a way, and therapists in general are trained in a way to help you figure out where this comes from. Whatever issue you're having, let's see where this comes from, where the root problem is, and let's deal with it. How can we then, like in my little one's school, if she, misbehaves, say she pushes a kid or she's, whatever, they do a thing where they do a little timeout and, okay, what happened? Why did we do this? And what can we do next time? And so it's kind of what therapy we do. And if I need a role play, we can role play on how to handle a situation with maybe another person or whatever the case may be. So she's really helped that. And guys, it really helps. I know it just sounds weird to somebody that hasn't done therapy, but it really is an eye opener, and it's a huge help when you know where that comes from, where the root problem lies. Something happens, it just clicks in your brain, and you go, oh, okay. And so the next time that certain situation occurs, you can self-analyze better and quicker. I sometimes write notes down on my phone, some little mantras that I need to tell myself, things like that. So that's what we've dealt with a lot, and it's just really, really been great. And then I got more into my faith. I first went to therapy thinking, you know what? I've gone to church, and I go to church and I hear all these people say, I know God speaks to me and I just feel him all around and this and that. And I'm like, I don't feel anything. I feel like I'm sitting there praying and I'm like, hello? Is anybody there? And all I hear is my echo or little tumbleweeds going by. So my therapist has helped me with that too, but it's about repetition. It's about repetition in my core belief in my faith. And that's what I kind of went through in therapy as well. I was asked, what is your belief? What's your core belief? And my core belief is I will always be taken care of. I know there's a higher power. I know I'll always be taken care of. So you have to keep reminding yourself of that. And then that's where meditation comes in and all that good stuff. And I started reading my Bible and doing Bible studies with my mom. It's great. And if anybody wants a Bible study, Good Morning Girls is a great Bible study, guys. I really, really love it, enjoy it. And I've been doing that for a couple of years now. So, yes, so I did meditation, medication, and therapy, got more into my faith, which really helps. When you go through your little lulls, you need to grab onto something. And it's not good to depend on that husband, that wife, that boyfriend, that girlfriend, that mom, dad, that son, daughter. It's not good to grab onto them and have them be the one that pulls you up. They cannot be your savior. And that's what I've learned over time is they can't be your savior. And to be a savior, you're putting that person up on a pedestal and you're going to be let down because they can't be everything to you all the time. And that's taken a long time for me to learn that. I can't continue to put that person on a pedestal. I have to rely on my faith. When I feel like I am just in a hole, I have to believe that there is a ladder going up to that light. And that is where my faith comes in. And that's who I believe in. Because in my faith, I believe he is the ultimate father. So it really is a big part of my journey. Let's see. I have notes, guys, by the way, because I wanted to keep myself roped in. I didn't want to go off on a tangent, and I don't want this video to be an hour long. Okay. Okay, so that's when I learned the cycle of depression. That is what my doctor talked to me about when I first went into him. I had spoken with another doctor previously because I had gone through some personal things in our family and had to talk to a doctor before about that. But I was never taught the cycle of depression, and that's what my current doctor talked to me about. Because when I went in, I was like, I need some medication just for a little bit, just enough to get me by, this little slump, and then I'll be fine. And so he said, some people, go through maybe a death or whatever, and they only need medication for, 6 months, just enough to kind of reboot your system, and then we can taper off of it and all is well. Other people need it, their brain chemistry, they need it probably forever. And those people can be on an antidepressant and they can start feeling better. So their mood lifts, right? And then they get off the medication and they still float by for a couple of years. And then what happens is all of a sudden they get a slump. They get a kind of like a crash. And then they get back on medicine. And they slowly, over time, go back up, right? And they get off medication again. And they're fine for a while. They're trailing along. And then a couple years later, boom. But that next time is even lower than the last time. And I believe that's what happened to me because I had gotten on it a few years ago after my husband had a heart attack and I was having, panic attacks and all that stuff. So, and then I stopped taking them because after a while I was like, I'm fine, I'm better. Was probably the wrong medication anyways because I didn't like the medication. I felt like I was just going to be sitting in a corner drooling on myself for months is what all that happened, and I gained a bunch of weight. But anyways, so I believe that's more of my cycle. Depression and anxiety run deep, y'all, in my family. Deep. Probably more anxiety than depression, but still the both run in my family. And I have just learned through my therapist, through my doctor, that there's some things that I have to do to maintain it. I have to take my medicine. I can maybe skip a day, like on accident if I forget it, And then by like the next day, if I still haven't taken any, all of a sudden I start feeling panicked. I just start feeling panicked, and I'm like snapping, and I'm cranky, and I'm just kind of jumpy and all that stuff. So I have to take my antidepressants. I have to eat somewhat good. I'm not saying I eat like a like a super health nut all the time, but I do have to eat good. I notice that when I do go through my lulls, when I take account for it, I'm not taking my vitamins, I'm not exercising, and I'm eating like garbage 24/7. Is that what usually happens? So I just have to do those things, and I have to get moving. I have to at least go for a walk. If I'm not doing a full exercise routine, I have to at least walk. And it can seem kind of redundant sometimes, and it can seem like this is a real pain in the butt. Not everybody has to do this, but it's just like your metabolism. Some people can eat all day and they can eat whatever they want and never gain weight. And then another person, might have a nice little piece of cake one day, and then all of a sudden they've gained 5 pounds. This is kind of how mental illness really is, and this is how I have to treat my issues. So I have to do meditation, therapy, good eating, exercising. And then I also supplement some of instead of me personally, like I said, I do not recommend this for anybody else. I'm just sharing with y'all what I do. Instead of upping my meds, I supplement that with essential oils. And I am an educator and distributor of essential oils of a certain company, and you guys can see my other videos if you want to see what that is. But it does help when I diffuse things, when I put them on topically, and I take this company's vitamins and supplements as well. So I take some stuff for brain power. I take some stuff I take like a vitamin B multivitamin like mix, which also really helps to uplift your mood, give you more energy, things like that. In the wintertime, I've got to take something a little extra that's going to give me that vitamin D that I'm missing, because now that I live in the Midwest, I don't see the sun sometimes for weeks. And I learned the hard way when I first moved here, winter blues is a real thing. So that's what I have to do. When I find that I hit a rough patch, and no matter that you're doing all this stuff, everybody hits a rough patch. It's just like everybody goes through stuff. It does not matter if you're depressed or you're not depressed. It doesn't matter if you're rich or poor, if you're healthy, unhealthy. It doesn't matter. Everybody goes through stuff. Everybody's got their own stuff. So what do I do when I hit a rough patch is, personally, I start listening to gospel music, and I make myself continue to listen to gospel music because that just speaks to my soul. I love me some gospel music. Put it in my ears, and I will listen until it's just, until I feel so much better. I also will take into account, am I taking my vitamins? Am I doing this? Am I doing that? And I have to force myself to do those things. Drink more water. Make sure I pull those vitamins back out. Get moving, because now that it's cold outside, because it's wintertime right now that I'm videotaping this. This is, what's that videotape? Recording this. You guys understand. Since it's cold out, I'm not really getting out moving much because I don't want to get out in the freezing cold. I have to make myself. And I also enjoy listening to certain podcasts and listening to audiobooks and things like that, because it's a great way. I can put my earbuds in, I can do what I need to do, I can run errands, I can clean, I can do whatever I need to do, but I'm still listening at the same time. If I have my kids or I'm driving, whatever, I'll put just one earbud in or put it on my speakers or whatever, just to stay safe. But the podcasts that I like listening to are the Anna and Susanna show. That is with Susanna B. Lewis, which on Facebook, you'll see that she is Whoa Susanna. She's hilarious. As well as Anna Lynn Thomas. They do a great podcast that is Christian-based and is funny. They are some funny women. And Susanna just reminds me of my aunt that is a true Southern woman. She's just so funny. Anyways, the next one I like to listen to for my depression anxiety is the Mental Illness Happy Hour with Paul Gilmartin. That is an awesome podcast. Those podcasts are usually long, kind of 2 hours long. But again, I don't mind because I will listen to it while I'm out running errands or I'm just, cleaning around the house or whatever. He's awesome. He is a former comedian. Usually his interviews go for an hour long. For half an hour before, he's talking about whatever in his personal life, and he reads off surveys that people have filled out. And then he does the same thing afterwards. So that's why it's like 2 hours long. So if you don't like the beginning or the end part, you can just fast forward through it. But it's great because he covers a ton of different mental illness issues that people deal with. It's really, really good. I cannot say enough about that podcast. And then the other one I like to listen to is Straight Talk with Ross Matthews. That one is just purely deliciously funny. That's the only reason why I listen to them. They are deliciously funny. I love all the people on there. I love anything Ross Matthews does. He just brightens my day, and so does the whole cast on Straight Talk. They just brighten my day. Love them. I follow them all on social media. It's great. It's just a nice little laugh, and they put out 2 podcasts a week, or I think 1 YouTube video. So they try to do that YouTube video and split it into 2, I believe is what it is they're doing right now. Anyways, that's when I listen to other podcasts and things like that for other areas of my life, like my business and such. But those are what make me happy. Those are just for emotional support. So that's it, guys. That's my thing. I want to take the shame away from depression, anxiety. And I also want to let you guys know what I do, and it might help you as well. I had no idea, guys. I had no idea what I was dealing with most of my life. When I was a kid, I just thought I was being a teenager, and some of that could have been. But I was acting in some pretty risky behavior as a kid that now I look back on and say, ugh, that was that depression. That was that anxiety or whatever. I was a cutter before cutting was even a name. I had no idea it had a name. I don't think it had a name until maybe 10, 15 years ago. But I did that as a kid just because it helped to release that pain. So now I just know what it is and understand why I did a little bit more. So if you have any questions or comments, please feel free to comment below. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe to my YouTube video. I am hoping to do more videos in the near future. So I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Talk to y'all soon. Bye.